Hey, Chihuahua. I'd like to give a shout out to Nita Infinity and the Gospel according to Mark with a C for bringing this to my attention. But apparently, this is a thing. Chicago mom claims she lost custody of son because she refused to get COVID-19 vaccine, brought to us by the Daily News, August 29th, 2021. And then August 30th, 2021, Chicago mom loses custody of son because she's unvaccinated. But then the judge withdraws decision. Huh. Well, that was fast. Here's the intro.
Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose. Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
Welcome, everyone. Hey, guys, what's going on? Memes here. So, yeah, apparently this was a thing that as soon as I heard it, because we had covered another story before where I believe a gentleman's parole, the judge at one point kind of casually, as far as I remember, said, oh, yeah, and get your COVID shot and everything. And the gentleman had not expressed any apprehension or anything to it. He's like, well, I just haven't gotten around to it. Okay. That brought up some concerns because we must remember, forced vaccination violates the doctrine of bodily autonomy. Your body, your choice. It's good to have some principles here. Again, I'm not an attorney, nor a doctor, or virologist, or biologist. We'll get into that at some point. Now, as we can see here, I think that it's wrong. Rebecca Firlit, who had not been able to see her 11-year-old son in person since August 10th, previously said of the decision. A Chicago mother who hoped to regain shared custody of her 11-year-old son following a judge's recent ruling has been successful. During an August 10th child support hearing with her ex-husband, one of the first things the judge asked Rebecca Firlit was about her vaccination status, the mother told the Chicago Sun-Times. Firlit, who was surprised by the question, told the outlet that she's had adverse reactions to vaccines in the past and was advised not to get it by my doctor. That was in a quote there. Okay. I'm going to interject here. It's one of the big things. Isn't this what we have on pretty much every medical commercial ever? It's like side effects may include potential anal leakage and even death. If any of these effects occur, stop using product X. Consult with your doctor. Isn't this the base thing we have for pretty much anything? Wouldn't this have solved many things if every single time we at least got into some of these conversations during a time of plague? It's like, talk to your doctor. Back to the article. Her ex-husband, from whom she has been divorced for 7 years, has been vaccinated. Afterwards, she recalled asking the judge how the question related to the hearing, which was supposed to be about expenses and child support. And she was told, quote, I am the judge, and I make the decisions for your case, end quote. I think that's legislating from the bench. I don't know. Again, if it's an incredibly complex situation, I can understand that, but you're telling somebody they can't see their child unless they do something with their body. How could that ever be an issue? A court spokesperson says they cannot comment on pending or impending cases, but according to court documents obtained by People, the judge on Monday vacated his original order based on the absence of a pleading or hearing or serious endangerment. Oh yes, all the related things. Yeah, people are kind of going nutty bananas, in my opinion. Again, I am not a psychologist. I miss my son more than anything. It's been very difficult. The Chicago mother, who has appealed the initial decision, previously said in an interview with Fox 32 News. It had nothing to do with what we were talking about, she added, of the ruling. The judge was placing his views on me and taking away my son from me. Her attorney also urged the judge's decision exceeded his jurisdiction per the Fox station. An attorney representing the Chicago woman's ex-husband said that while they did not expect the question to be asked, they supported the initial ruling. There are children who have died because of COVID, Jeffrey M. Leving told Fox 32 News. I think every child should be safe, and I agree the mother should be vaccinated. Although being apart from her son is difficult, Firlit hopes to be reunited with him soon. I feel like this will resonate with people because of how things will go if we don't speak up, dividing families, taking children from their parents. We have to speak out to make sure this is not the new thing. She told the Chicago Sun-Times, unfortunately, I had to be the first person that this has happened to, but parents aren't going to stand for that. And they go into some statistics right there about, oh, well, most folks that seem to kind of be losing their lives don't tend to have a shot. So, yes, and you also need to go to this because while I was searching for this, you also found this. Lawndale mom loses son, 12th to COVID. It's too hard. I miss my son. Basically, she had planned to get the vaccine. Her son, I believe, he happened to have some underlying conditions as well. They both got rushed to the ER, and 2 days later, her son had passed. It's sad. People are losing their lives, and when you just start going even through the local news, you start seeing the faces and the names. It's not just a statistic. It's not just something that, I don't know. Then I also found this. Texas school temporarily closes after 2 teachers die from COVID-19 in a week. Folks, people are dying. It's a time of plague. We've been through this before. I'm going to make an interjection. I'm going to make a very bold statement. I am not a doctor. Consult your doctor. None of this should be construed as medical advice. I'm putting a hypothesis out there. Again, I'm also not a biologist nor a doctor. I am not a doctor. Talk to your doctor. With that all being said, my hypothesis is, well, what do we know? Well, this is a novel coronavirus. Well, we had SARS-1, we had SARS-2, and that kind of seemed to stick to mostly the greater Asia area. We also had MERS-2 over there in the Middle East as well, but these things tended to be contained. They seem to be novel viruses that people, us, have never really had before. So you have no immunity. If you just have a standard A and B flu, which is cycling around, yeah, it's going to be different at some point. It's like, that's why we have the flu shots. I've talked to people, and very often they're like, either that day or the next day, some of these folks, they do have adverse reactions or something like that. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, but I just keep seeing these things happening again and again. I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is more or less the entire population, except for maybe 5 minors back in like 2015 or something, that may have had this similar strain that apparently there were some samples of at some point, according to some people that I've heard on the internet. If you get like 8 billion people and they have no resistance to something, yeah, if you get it, especially if you have underlying conditions, it could be a death sentence. I remember, I suspect, and again, we weren't looking for it at the time, earlier last year, I started feeling really crummy. I got up. Normally I get more energy throughout the day. I kept feeling warm like crap for 5 days. It sucked. I barely ever get maybe once or twice a year. But all I know is I'm like, if I don't start getting better, I'm going to go to the hospital because like this is not good. Decently healthy male, 36 years of age. It's like, I can see how this can be rough. But you're looking at this, I'm like, all right, so once folks happen to have immunity or we have like treatments or shots, kind of like we have a yearly flu shot and everything, it's like, all right, you want to bolster the systems of people that might have issues. You want to protect these people. And you also don't want to crash the entire healthcare system. All I'm saying is, I think we could have gone about this better. I still think we can. Maybe if, I don't know, well, this was kind of emerging and you started to see China build like all these different hospitals in Wuhan province, and you're like, Zhejiang, Wuhan, stay strong. You see this going on back in January, but didn't seem to catch everyone's eye, at least over here in the States. Whereas we were busy impeaching the president for the first time. I'm just saying, maybe we should try to focus on other pictures and maybe try to solve problems rather than just arguing about things very often. And again, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a doctor, biologist. I'm some dude on the internet. I think very often we argue about these things just because we don't like those other people, so we're using it as a coupling for arguing. Call them a meta coupling. We seem to turn everything into a fight, and as somebody that's probably the reason I'm single. That is the reason I'm single. Yeah. I'm just saying I think we can do better. I realize this is coming from a hypocrite, but hey, it is what it is. I see you there, Joe. Shout out to my patrons, Joe, Franco, and Dave M. This broadcast is all made possible by viewers like you, as well as Lewis and Parrothead. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is a bit more serious of a video. It's just one of those things where it's, I don't know, if you're going to stand for the doctrine of bodily autonomy, if you're going to stand for my body, my choice, doesn't sound like a bad principle. It shouldn't shift depending on what we're talking about. Just my opinion. So, hey, peace out, everybody. Thank you all for watching. And no matter what happens,
come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Log from Blammo.
This show is not sponsored by Blammo. Peace out, everybody.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.